Good morning, you guys. Today's the 17th of October. The current local time is 11:04 a.m. We just got into Missouri a couple minutes ago from via Highway 68 in Kansas, which goes across from Ottawa over to the Missouri line, and now we're making a right turn onto eastbound Highway 2, State Route 2. Now we're on our way to make a delivery to the Walmart Distribution Center in Harrisonville, which is 18 miles away from here. Going to be stopping at ahead of time though at the Loves. That's one exit north of there. I didn't really feel like stopping at any of the other Loves along the way. Not really. I really only wanted to stop so I can get a shower. Normally I stop in at the Sapp Brothers. That's right down the street from the Walmart. Like, and literally, you can throw a rock from Sapp Brothers lot to Walmart's lot. It's that close. And you guys have seen me go there before on past Harrisonville deliveries. However, today, like I said, I want to get a shower, so I figured I'll stop in over here at the Loves since I have shower credits there anyway. I think I still have some. I don't know. I don't get fuel at Loves a bunch, so I usually when I get fuel at Loves or Pilot Flying J, if the price is good enough, and I get my if I factor in the shower credits, fuel rebates, and stuff like that, it's got to be the right price. If it's not worth it, I'd just as soon pay out of pocket for a shower somewhere else. But sometimes I end up with shower credits. Alright, anyway, let's get to the topic of this post, because I don't know how much time I'm going to have to work with to get out everything that I want to discuss. This is a rant about something that was specific involving this route, this load that I'm on now. Not the load itself, more so a HOS logging issue. Alright, so here's the backstory there. You guys might have seen my pickup video where I picked up in Colton. It was a long ass day there. I started my shift at 1:05 a.m. Pacific time, or 3:05. Let's just go with Central time, alright? Because my logs aren't Central time. I'm going to be showing you guys screenshots of what my logs look like, so for you guys to kind of follow along. Alright, so I started my day at 3:05. So, long story short, we have a 14-hour clock violation that's going to come into play later on, but is it legit or not legit? I say not legit. But now, let's first put the numbers in there for you. So if I started my shift at 3:05 a.m., then 14 hours later would put me in pumpkin status at 17:05. Alright, so now you know that's out of the way. What happened during that shift? 3:05, I go on duty, pre-trip, run my way up to Shafter, California, over by Bakersfield, about a 3 or so hour drive, make my delivery. After I get through yard moving to the dock door and checking in, I did 8 minutes of off-duty status and another 4 hours and 40 minutes of sleeper berth. Alright, so I'm in sleeper berth. I'm in some form of off-duty for at least 4 hours and 48 minutes. Alright, now going by, you can do a split provision, or a split sleeper, basically, as they might call it, or split 10, where you can do you can split your 10-hour break into two, where one of them has to be at least 2 hours long, and that part can be any combination of off-duty and or sleeper berth, doesn't matter. And then the long part has to be at least 7 hours, and at least 7 hours of sleeper berth specifically. Now, as long as the two breaks add up to 10 hours and you meet those criteria, you're good to go. you can start driving after that. But now even then, if you're only doing the minimum, we get kind of in the weeds here with with the A2 split rule. So I'm gonna probably, let's hold off on giving some of those details there, because I need to tell the story here. All right, so I make it from Shafter down to Colton. You guys remember I tried to stop, if you watched that video, you might have seen I tried to stop at the truck wash right up the road from the shipper. Found out the hard way where they're closed. Made a stop at Farmer Boys to grab a bite to eat. Then I went over to the shipper, tried to check in, and was told, nope, your appointment isn't until 2200, so you're going to have to leave the property. I'm like, okay, well, is it a drop and hook or is it a live load? And then they come out and find out it's a drop and hook. They said, you can go ahead and drop your trailer, but you don't have to bobtail out and come back later on. So I do that. Come back barely over an hour later after my dispatch sends me a message saying my load is ready. Go get my load picked up, wait in line over there just to even get in the damn guard, into the lot. And basically, long story short, I end up making it home with, I finished driving at about, I would say about 10 minutes or so left on my 70-hour clock. Might have been 11, somewhere in that ballpark. I did about a 6-minute or so post-trip after that, and then I went home. Okay, well, my 14-hour clock, now again, I would have turned into a pumpkin at 17:05, but here I am driving. I get home about, I think it was 19:08. 19:08 Pacific time, or 21:08 Central time. That comes into play. I just can't remember if that's the point when I stopped driving or when I went from on-duty post-trip to off-duty 10-hour break at home. So, anyway, all of my clocks, I can see them right here. I'm looking right at them all right now, and my lowest clock right now is my 8-hour clock at 1 hour and 40. Then I got 2:27, both drive time and cycle left, because, if my cycle is my 70-hour clock. And then work day is my 14 at 7:23. So I always see at every moment what my clocks are looking like at any given time when I'm driving. All I have to do is look at take a quick look at my screen, and there it is. So I get over there. I shut down I stopped driving with, we'll just say 10, 11 minutes left on my 70-hour clock. And I think about 45 or so, we'll just call it, somewhere in the ballpark of 45 minutes left on my 14-hour clock. Now we can add that up. I told you I did 448 in off-duty / sleeper berth, and while I was in the dock door in Shafter. Add that to the 305, actually to the 1705, where the 14 would have normally expired. And so 4 hours past that would be 2105. Add another 48 to that, that's 2153. So my 14 is not supposed to expire until 2153. I get all the way back to my house, park down the street from where I live. As you guys know, where I often park. That's exactly what my clocks were showing. Exactly what I just talked about is what it was showing me the entire time. I was not in violation. I get parked, do my post-trip, and while I'm still there doing post-trip and waiting for my wife to show up to pick me up, shut up, there's nothing to collide with here. I'm going over my logs to make sure everything's hunky-dory with, I want to certify whatever log, or make any edits I might need to edit, which I normally don't need to, but once in a while, maybe I might need to add a note to something, like a comment to something that didn't get commented on or something. like it's the right status, but I just don't have a remark to indicate why I'm in that status. So I go through that, and I'm going down the list for that same day. At one certain point at, what was that, 1708, I go into Driveline. While I'm over there trying to pick up my load, or over in the area, doing something over there. And I see on there, on the line-by-line table, that it's saying something about a 14-hour clock violation. I'm like, huh? How is this possible? I just finished my shift literally just now, and it's saying that I'm in 14-hour clock violation, but all my clocks were valid, even when I shut down my truck. So how in the hell am I in violation when all my clocks were just showing me valid just a few minutes ago? So, alright, fast forward now, my wife shows up, and on the way home I end up telling her, hey, there's some kind of issue here with my logs. Like I wanted to certify whatever, but I can't because there's something going on there. There's some kind of issue with the way it's coded or whatever, some kind of bug in there is what it appears. And and I told her, I'm just gonna do it tomorrow because I'm gonna need to talk to a logs person, whatever, to figure out why it's doing that or report the problem. Hey, my logs are fine, but it's erroneously showing me a 14-hour violation. Alright, rest of the weekend comes and goes. I drive that next shift from my house to Holbrook, Arizona, do another 10 in Holbrook, and then start driving the next shift from Holbrook over to Liberal, Kansas. Now, while I'm in between, I think not too far past Santa Rosa, New Mexico, I get a message on my truck. It's on my onboard nav thing here. I can see it pop up a notification. Actually, even if I have the sound on, there's a play button. I can just tap right there, and it'll play it out loud to me what it is. So I do that, and I find out that it's a logs person telling me, hey, there's some kind of an issue with your logs from the 14th. Basically, looked like something was input improperly or something like that, and that might have caused you to have a 14-hour clock violation. And whoever it was that suggested calling them up. So I do that. I call up logs department, and it ends up going to a particular person in Hirschbach Logs. Talk to that individual. And it started going awry pretty fast because, one, this person was not listening to my situation here with what actually happened and when it became a problem. Now, mind you, this happened at 21:10-ish Central Time on that same night, and that's right then and there at that same point when I noticed it. That when I noticed there was an issue. So keep this in mind, all right? Because some hindsight versus future, what's hindsight to you is still future to me. And you don't get to work with hindsight information when what I'm seeing is in the future. Alright, so I get to talking to this individual, and he ends up, and I have a huge pet peeve. When I'm talking, don't you ever fucking interrupt me. I'll listen to you quietly and very open-mindedly, but the minute you start talking over the top of me, you're going to go south. Guaranteed. I will not tolerate being, listened to, talked to like that. So, because if you don't want to listen to what I have to say, then it means you either already know what you think I'm going to say, but you don't really know, or what you have to say is more important than me, and that's a complete lack of respect to me. So that's just always been a big pet peeve of mine. Don't ever fucking interrupt me. And that's what was going on here. So I started interrupting him back because he's talking over the top of me. It's one thing to interrupt when someone pauses and you think they're done talking, but find out maybe the hard way that they aren't actually done. Alright, I get that. That happens. I make that mistake myself a lot. But when I'm in the middle of talking, blah, 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 you don't start talking over the top of me. That's extremely rude, disrespectful, makes you a piece of shit person when you do that. And when that happens, you're losing me. I'll start getting rude to you back, or I'm going to tell you if you interrupt me again, this conversation's over. And so I warned this guy, hey, you keep interrupting me and you're not letting me talk. And then he starts basically trying to say that I keep interrupting him. Well, yeah, I keep interrupting you back because you keep talking over the top of me first. So, quit. And he kept trying to preach to me stuff about 8-2 splits. Or 7-3 and 8-2 splits, whatever. And, okay, there are a lot of truckers out there, even experienced truckers, who know little to nothing about 8-2 splits. They kind of know what the rules are, but so many of them don't do 8-2s because they don't know enough about them. Let me get zoomed in here for you guys. Yeah, the very next exits are loves. You can see the sign up there. Alright, I know countless drivers out here with 20, 30 years of experience who've never done an 8-2 split in their life. And then keep in mind, I guess for maybe possible context issues here, Hirschbach, I believe, has a lot more drivers with little to no experience. Come on. You guys aren't going to let me over, are you? Alright, thank you. Thank you, Bobtail. Alright, see, that's the proper way to get on here. Get into the breakdown lane and wait. You don't pull out in front of other traffic that has a right-of-way. And I knew that truck that was coming up first. I knew there was someone right next to him, so he couldn't possibly move over. Alright, anyway. Yeah, we ended up going the rounds on this, and basically this guy kept trying to tell me that, hey, if you change your status, when I did my 10, would actually end up being a 12-hour break at home. Trying to tell me if I changed my status there to sleeper berth instead, that it should make the violation go away. But here I'm thinking like, well, here's the problem. I don't falsify my logs. I'm not going to falsify my logs if I don't need to. So, and telling me I have to stay in sleeper berth and not see a family that I only see 50 to 60 times per year, and a family that is located only a mile away from me, literally, that's not going to happen. Yeah, it kind of looked like I know it kind of looked like I ran the stop sign because I went at the same time as the car, but in reality the car was, I was right at the limit line and the car was all completely past the limit line before so I started moving from the limit line like I was supposed to. They were just further up. Alright, anyway, we get to basically to an impasse because he doesn't want to listen to me and I don't want to listen to him preaching to the choir about 8-2 split rules or what he thinks they are, what they thinks they mean, or say, whatever. Because the 7-3, 8-2, whatever rules are, there's a little bit of, let's see where we want to park over here. We'll park over here somewhere. Alright, we'll fake skill. See where this guy over here is going. I don't know where this guy's walking to. Maybe to this truck here. Alright. Yeah, he's going to that truck. I didn't want to assume he was going to that truck because he could be going to this side of the building for all I know. Alright. Anyway, we get to an impasse. And he finally gets where, well, we're not going to get anywhere on this. Because I told him I'm driving right now and I'm not in a position to look at my logs. So he tells me when we finally get to an impasse, all right, well, how about this? You get to a stopping point, and so you have a chance to look at your logs and then call me back. So like, well, you've already established precedence that you're going to constantly interrupt me, so we're done here. I'm not talking to you again. I want nothing to do with you. I'm not going to talk to you unless absolutely necessary. And I don't think it's necessary. Because I don't think he's not going to hear me out. And you're not going to understand what I'm saying there or where I'm coming from if you're not going to listen. Alright. Let's get back into here. Alright, so instead of talking to him, oh yeah, the fun gets even more fun. I get to the... now, I decided I'm not going to deal with this guy anymore. And I get on the US 54 in Tucumcari, and I start thinking, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and okay, when you go on 54, the town of Nara, which is just a couple miles west of the New Mexico-Texas line on 54 in New Mexico. Alright, so there's a weigh station there. Now, during the daytime hours, I find that it's usually open, but only to the westbound traffic. I'm heading eastbound. I've gone past that station many times while it's open, and I've never seen it open for eastbound traffic. It's always been open, you know, well, not, it's open during bank type hours, whatever, usually for westbound traffic, but, and then it's usually closed at night. Yeah, so either way, though, there's an entrance that you can use from the eastbound side. So I decide I'm going to go ahead and go in there. Take my tablet in with me. And start asking questions to the DOT officer in there. So I get in there. And, hey, I got a question about this. I want to show you my logs. I'm getting a violation that I think is erroneous. What can you tell me? Long story short, the woman in there tells me, let me pull her name up because I'm throwing her under the bus. Because I don't appreciate this. We'll get to this in a second too, but what is her name? Let's see. Does it have her? It normally has the name on here. I'm trying to find it though. I don't see her name anywhere on here. Okay, S. Harper. So Officer Harper at the Nara weigh station, you're getting thrown under the bus. So I get in there, start talking to her, and pretty quickly start figuring out she's trying to tell me the same shit that the logs person at her spot was telling me. And all of this is based on hindsight information. Look at my logs. You're going to see I did a 12-hour totally off-duty break at the end of my shift where that this supposed 14-hour violation occurred. Here's the problem. These people are only looking at my logs in hindsight at stuff that has already happened now. But at the point in time, I caught it during my post trip on that same shift. I had legit clocks all the way up until I got to where I was parked. I'm doing my post trip. I'm still on duty, if I remember right. Might have been just off duty for just a minute. Go off duty and then looking at my logs and catch that violation. Oh, but you need to have 7 hours in sleeper berth for the 3-hour part to count. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. I've done these many, many, many times. I know how it's always worked with Omnitracks. I know how it's worked even several times with this unit here. This one time only, it became an issue. And, and you can't say, you need to do 7 hours sleep. Well, I haven't had an opportunity to do that yet. I just shut down my damn truck. I just finished my damn post trip. Now is the point where I would normally be starting some kind of a break. Either a 7-hour sleeper berth or a 10-hour break, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's all future for me, not past. Everybody looking at my logs that I've been talking to on this is looking at my logs from a day or two in the past. And so they have the hindsight. And it's like, well, you know, you're supposed to do a 7-hour sleeper berth. I'm like, no, I don't. So we'll pull up the HOS regs, right, straight from the FMCSA website. All right, now on there, it shows you the split sleeper thing, as you might call it. You know, and the split break is you have to do a minimum of 2 hours, any combination of off-duty and or sleeper, and a longer break of at least 7 hours in sleeper berth. Again, it can be longer than 7 hours, but it has to be a minimum of 7 hours, and at least a minimum of those 7 hours, of it has to be in sleeper berth. You can do, let's say, 3, 4, let's say anywhere between 2 and 7 hour break. That counts as a 2 or 3 hour split. But technically it's a 3 hour split. And you can be in any combination the entire time. Well, you can be there for 6 hours and 59 minutes. It's not enough for a 7 hour break. So that counts as your short break. So at the end of your shift, I mean, and all this time that you're off there, your 14 stays stopped. But then at the end of your shift, your 14 counts back down, starts counting down again once you go back on duty at the end of that. And then at the end of your shift, normally what happens, your 14 will keep running down to or even below 0 after you've shut down. Hopefully you've done it on, with the valid clock already. 2 things will reset it. Well, not really reset it. 2 things will add time to it. So what'll add time to it will be completing a 7-hour sleeper berth. You can do 7 hours off duty. It's not going to do you any good with getting 14-hour clock back. It's not going to get you any good with getting 11-hour clock back either. If you do a 7-hour sleeper berth, then you get some 14 and maybe some 11-hour clock back, depending on what kind of breaks you took during the middle of the shift that it followed. So in my case, I did 4 hours and 48 minutes of, so that did create basically a 3-hour split in the middle of the shift. So if I do a 7-hour sleeper at the end of the shift, then the drive time that I did prior to the 4 hour and 48 minute break, I get back. That's it. So if I drove for 3 hours, we'll just say it was 3 hours. I don't have my logs up right now, but you guys can see the screenshot. All right. So I did 3 hours, took a long break that satisfied the short break split. Then the rest of my shift, my 14 and 70 ran out pretty much. Well, at least my 70 did almost. And then at that point in time is when I would, if I'm doing a total split, then I would do at least 7 hours in sleeper berth right there. And after 7 hours in sleeper, the 3 hours that I drove prior to this split, the short split, comes back onto my 11-hour clock. Because basically the 14 moves down the block to, where your short break ended and you started going back on duty from there. That's where your 14 basically counts down from. So whatever time you spent from there to your 7-hour break, that's counting against your 14 already. And then whatever, got burnt before the 3-hour break or 3+ hour break gets added back on. If you don't do at least a 2-hour break in the middle of your shift, then after your 7 or 8 split, whatever you do, you don't get any drive time back, but you will get 14-hour time back. Again, it's the same 14-hour time that did before the, it's still up to a point. It's a little bit more complicated on that one, so I won't go into that. All right, so anyway, it's either that or you reset all of your 8, 11, and 14-hour clocks by doing a complete 10-hour break. My thought is, and what I believe it to be, is if you do a full 10-hour break, then the sleeper berth part is irrelevant, especially if I'm not sleeping in my truck. Because falsifying your logs is also a violation. Actually, falsifying your logs is how you can get forced 34-hour reset on top of that if DOT catches it. Which is the lesser of two evils. a violation for going over a 14-hour clock that isn't legitimately a violation or arguably not a violation, or a totally legit violation for bullshitting your logs because, well, hey, you said you were at your house. But, you know, because if I get in an accident of some sort and someone's lawyer starts scrutinizing my logs and they see this kind of stuff, they can say, well, hey, I have proof here, I got evidence here saying that you were at your house. And so if you were at your house, then how are you in sleeper berth? Okay, now you're falsifying your logs. That's illegal to do too. So, lose-lose situation here. You're going to tell me I have to, you know, even though I'm parked a mile away from my house, that I have to spend 7 hours minimum in sleeper berth and not see my family at all, sleep in my own bed or anything, because of either a technicality or a misinterpretation of what the HOS rules say. I firmly think they're misinterpreting. Again, they're saying, and they're using their argument using hindsight information that was not available to me at the time. You can't tell me that I was in violation for not doing 7 hours when I literally just went off duty from doing my post trip and it's already there. That tells you there's something else going wrong there. It's not the damn sleeper berth provision. Quit trying to argue that crap. And okay, so going back to Officer Harper, I'm trying to explain my side to her, and at the same time, she's obviously on a different perspective than me. And we're kind of going round and round with this stuff, and eventually, I think after it seemed like half an hour or whatever of arguing about it, she finally decides to do the very unprofessional thing. Let's go ahead and be spiteful and say, because I didn't even have to be in that way station. I was just there to ask a question, get clarity on something, or get someone's input on something, whether it was accurate or not, or what I believe to be accurate or agreed with. She decides, all right, I'm going to do a level 3 on you because you're being you're being a pain in the ass. I'm not being unprofessional, but at the same time, we are on totally different perspectives here, and not willing to accept that, you know, maybe one of us is misinterpreting, and I'm pretty sure she's the one, and she and the logs person are the ones misinterpreting. And then on top of that, so I'm going to throw her under the bus some more while I'm going these rounds with her, because I'm trying to explain to her, like, look, my phone does not have a good signal right now, so I don't have the means to pull up the FMCSA HOS rules because I can't get my phone to connect to anything right now. It's every time I'm in that area, I'm in a dead zone. So I can't get to anything. So, but she's pulling up some page thing that I didn't even recognize and starts telling me what's on there, or what she's saying, yeah, it's this or that, whatever, and, you know, about the minimum 2 hours and then 7 hours in sleeper berth, whatever. But I'm like, okay, what is this literature you're looking at? Because I can see it clearly from where I'm standing. And it's not the FMCSA HOS website, or an actual up-to-date FMCSA book. Now, I was watching closely, and I did see that whatever this thing was said that it was dated December of 2022. And I keep watching, and I realize that apparently it's some DOT a student handbook for DOT officers. You're using that as your freaking rule, your gospel that you follow. That's your Bible on instructing, telling drivers how things are, what the rules are. Is a student handbook that it's not official document. Do I have access to that document where I'm at anywhere? No, that's not available to me. I'm expected to know what the regulations are and play by them. If we're going to talk at all, I'll talk to me using regulations that I actually have access to. Something that's been transcribed or believed to be, it's probably accurate, but valid, but we can't be sure of because it's not the official source, not the horse's mouth source. Sorry, that's not valid. Second, the fact that you're even looking at a damn student handbook alone makes me question Not saying there's any validity to it, but if you're even looking at that, you're already giving me a reason to automatically question how much experience you have as a DOT officer. How long have you been doing this work? And then if you're just a rookie DOT officer, then how am I to know that you even know what the hell you're talking about yet? How many times have you really dealt with 8-2 split drivers and all that, especially knowing very few actually do them? In fact, there are a lot of companies, a lot of major carriers that actually forbid their drivers from, at a company level, from doing 8-2 splits because it's so easy to have violations on them. I've been doing 8-2s for years. I've done so many of them and never had a problem one until this one time when I haven't even had a chance to do the long part of my brake yet, and it's already telling me this. And you're telling me that it's, in hindsight, yeah, you didn't do sleeper bird for 7 hours. Well, no shit. I just barely started my damn brake, regardless of what status I'm in, and I'm already seeing it. It hasn't even been 7 hours yet, regardless of what status I'm in. Why is this happening? So yeah, I'm questioning Officer Harper's integrity on this because of this. Don't ever use a student handbook when you're giving gospel information to a driver, because automatically, like I said, it already is making me question if you even have any experience at all to speak of. Or if you're just starting out, it's like your notebook because you don't remember all the rules and stuff, and you know where to look for on there to find what you need. But again, that's not available to me, and that's not an official document. It's not an official FMCSA resource. All right, so, and on top of that, do this kind of shit. To me, I don't care if this is a jilted lover doing something spiteful to someone who cheated on them or whatever, or anything else. Anytime you got spite involved, you reduce yourself to immature, disrespectful, and not worthy of respect. Don't ever do spiteful things like that. Even if, and then she also documented that as a violation. Okay, here's the other thing. I have yet to certify my logs for that given day. I mentioned, remember, I caught the problem before I even went back to my house for that break that ensued. And, I intentionally did not certify them until I could get some kind of resolution on this first. Not getting a resolution, so I'm not going to certify it. And my understanding from past, from knowledge being passed down to me by other more experienced drivers, or I think maybe even logs people, I can't remember where I got it from, but my understanding is you can't give somebody a violation that's going to stick on logs if they haven't even certified the logs yet. So how are you writing me up on a violation for something I've not even certified, even right now, after a day and a half or whatever it is afterward? Yeah, riddle me that. So, and again, you do spiteful shit, you are now unprofessional and not worthy of respect, and you should be holding yourself to a higher standard with that uniform. Just like I spent 20 years in the Air Force. Do you think that I do stuff that was, that way others would consider spiteful, especially while I'm wearing that uniform? No, you don't do that shit. People look very down on that. I find it extremely disrespectful to do spiteful stuff, no matter what it is. So, yeah, we got a problem here. And what kind of precedents are you setting for drivers when you do this kind of crap? One, I'm just trying to get a question answered, and despite me, you try to do that shit. All right, well, on top of this, it's like I'm going to war on this. Alright, so even when I was dealing with her, she was writing up this violation, I told her, I want you to give me a ticket. Give me a ticket, because I want to go to court about it. I want to fight, I want to talk about, argue about it in court with a judge, and then we can see what happens. She did not give me a ticket. I wonder why. maybe she's not so, either not so convinced, or she just doesn't want to take the time to deal with it. What to her is a waste of her time already. Who knows? But yeah, again, now normally what happens here is, again with these splits, I stopped with the valid 14-hour clock. What happens after that is mostly irrelevant until I go back and start driving again. What's my clock? What have my clocks had a chance to do after that point in time? Again, I get some 14, maybe some 11 back after a 7 or 8 hour break, or if I do a full 10-hour break, regardless of whether I'm in sleeper or off duty. Because again, I was doing my 10-hour break at home. I even logged it as 10-hour break at home, and it ended up being a 12-hour break. So I got the required rest, and I don't have to log sleeper berth provision when I'm not actually in the sleeper berth. What happens? Here's a what if here, because this is a very realistic what if, and I know I'm not going to what if to death this, okay? One simple what if. My logs, again, I turned into a pumpkin at 1705. Well, without the split. With the split, I turned into a pumpkin at 2153. Let's say let's say about 2000. Sometime after I get into that bonus time, but definitely prior to when my 14 would expire. Let's say my truck breaks down. It's happened to me more than once. I've had to get towed more than once, so this is extremely realistic. This can happen to any driver out here, whether or not you sleep at home or not. Your truck breaks down, you need to get towed to a shop. You get to the shop, oh yeah, we can't get to your truck for about 2 more days. And you also can't stay in your truck while we're working on it, or while it's in here. You can't be in sleeper berth. Okay, so if you can't be in sleeper berth legally because you're not allowed to, you don't have access to your truck sleeper berth, where do you sleep? Motel room, somebody else's house, your own house, or wherever the case might be, it doesn't matter. You're in off-duty status when you're doing this. You cannot log sleeper berth legally if you're not physically in the sleeper berth. Okay, so your truck breaks down. If you put that you're in sleeper berth, but your truck's really in the shop getting worked on, and you're nowhere near the truck, you are falsifying your logs. Again, that is illegal. You cannot do that. Not legally, at least. But now, you're telling me, if either, we're not going to fix this problem or get a better understanding of how to properly interpret these HOS rules, or you're going to tell me go ahead and falsify my logs, because I'll be damned if I'm going to not be able to see my family. It's a freaking mile away from where I'm parked over a stupid technicality that I have to log what I do and do what I log, so I have to be in the damn truck sleeper berth. I can't have my whole family in the truck here with me. They're supposed to hang out here with me, and then it's supposed to be rest. It's supposed to be sleeping, supposedly, right? Wrong. So, if I did at least a 10-hour break at my house, then that should satisfy it. And that's how it's always worked with my logs in the past. I've done so many splits. I've even done splits like this, 2 or 3 hour break in the middle of my shift because I take a nap, run the rest of the way to my house, and then take a 10, 20, whatever hour break. And because I really am at home, and I really am taking a 10+ hour break. Never had a problem, one. So again, there's something going on here, and I have coding experience myself, so I know that it's there's when you take classes for coding like C++ or assembly language and stuff like that, one of the things they teach you is this term, garbage in, garbage out. What that means is the program is only as good as what the programmer puts into it. If you put garbage into the coding of that program, you're going to get garbage back out. That's what it means. So, and mistakes get made, and how the calculations are done. It's just a Boolean here, as we call it. an and statement or an and or statement that is all that needs to be done, which would be just, well, for the brake, again, the 14 counts down after I'm done driving for the day from that 53 or that 40 or so minutes remaining down to 0, down into the negatives. And then after I either do a 7-hour sleeper berth, it comes back to what I had prior to the 3-hour break, or I do a full 10-hour break and have it completely reset. Either one of those conditions can give you 14-hour clock to work with, and or 11. Okay, so yeah, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here again. All right, anyway, we're gonna get. This is gonna last too long here, and we still got a delivery to make. An exit away from here. So how about we go ahead and end this? I think I've made enough of my point. I hope where people are listening. Don't use hindsight information that was not available to me. That was future information to me at the time. I caught it before I even went home. That 10-hour break, 12-hour break hadn't even existed yet at the time when I caught it. So don't sit here and tell me that I'm in violation because I didn't do 7-hour sleeper berth. All right? All right. And also for DOT officers, don't ever do that shit. Don't ever spite a driver like that. That's a great way to make a driver not trust you. Yeah, and we're supposed to be able to come to you hey, if we're not quite sure on something, we want to do things by the rules, by the properly. You're supposed to be a resource for us to be able to come to and know that we're getting the right information and not have this kind of thing happening to us. So now what you're telling me is, go ahead and falsify my logs, because you can go to hell if you think I'm going to park a mile away from my house and not be able to spend my time in my own freaking bed at my own house and eat my wife's home cooked food, because of some stupid technicality or misinterpretation of the damn rules. All right, this pisses me off. And even if this does stick, because I am going to contest it, even though it's a violation without a citation. I think in a a couple years ago or whatever it was, they did change the rules from my understanding where you actually can contest violations without citations. So I just need to get a hold of our compliance and our logs people. Of course, I'm not going to get support from logs, so I don't really care. I'll eat the violation on this if that's what it takes, but fix the damn problem. Make this video go viral or something, I don't care. Get the FMCSA to recognize that there's a problem with, not really a problem with the way they wrote their rules, but the problem is people are interpreting their rules to suit their needs. Their split provision rule is written with the idea in mind that you're only doing the bare minimum needed to complete 10 hours of rest. 2-hour break or a 3-hour break will also stop, or you only need to do 7 sleeper berth minimum now with the 2019 rules. But if you do 7-hour, you have to do 3-hour the other side, or it's a 2 and 8. Okay, but yeah, either way, as long as those minimums are met, you've met the requirements of a full 10-hour rest period to an extent. But it gets broken in chunks. So you do that 3-hour break and then a 7 at the end of the shift. You can only run so much of your next shift before you have to stop for a mandatory 3-hour break again. And then at the end of that shift, then you're supposed to do another 10-hour break afterwards. So that's the way the rules actually say. And again, the way the FMCSA wrote the rules, it's making the assumption that when you're doing a split, you're only doing the bare minimum. It's not making an assumption that you're in a motel because your truck's in the shop. It's not making an assumption that you're one of the few OTR drivers who is out on the road 310, 315 days a year, but maybe some of these days you're out on the road, you're in a location where you can park at your house for a 10-hour break and do your break there instead. Or I know a lot of drivers who, even when they're out on the road, instead of sleeping in their sleeper berth, they go sleep in a motel room for a night or something. Just to kind of unwind or get out of the truck. That happens too. So you're telling them they cannot do that either. But yeah, and then the whole idea behind FMCSA making that split there, stop the 14-hour clock, is because too many drivers, like myself included, were complaining that we could not complete our 11-hour clocks, our 11-hour drive time, because time spent sitting in customers' dock doors holding us in for about 3 or 4 hours ran our 14-hour clocks down to where it was less than what we had left on our 11. So now we can't drive a full shift, and that created all kinds of problems. So that's the ultimate point of that split. It's not meant, at least my interpretation of it is, it's not meant where you can't, that you absolutely have to do sleeper berth after on the long part of the split. Again, it's you only do the sleeper berth part if you're doing an actual short split. If you're doing a full 10-hour break instead, which it is my prerogative. If I want, I can take at least, as long as it's at least 7 hours. I can do 10, 20 hours. It doesn't matter. It's my prerogative, or however my load allows me to. Okay, as long as I get the required rest, we're good. And that's what the FMCSA wants. All right, so that's enough here. You guys say what you want on there. I don't know. It's we'll have some more here for you guys. I don't know. Maybe you guys seen so many Walmart videos here. I've done Harrisonville a number of times too. So how about this? We'll just go ahead and call it a day here. I'll say we're done for with this particular video. I'm not even gonna waste my time vlogging the delivery tonight. It's due tonight at 0010, I think it is. So I'll be there in about 11, a little over 11 hours from now. And I don't have a pre-plan yet that I know of. Maybe, at least I don't think I do. Let me double check. No, okay, I don't have one yet. And I'm running on recaps. So normally, like I said, I'd normally cheat and go to Sap Brothers and then just creep on over, or PC over, since it's literally right across the street. But I know Hirschbox people get snitty about using PC for that kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to burn yard move on a place that's literally right across the street. I'll just creep over there. Again, this is kind of falsifying, but technically I see it as I'm being forced to move by my customer, because I could have been there in their property earlier had they had on-site parking available for me. So that's how we always did it on our, when JCT was by itself. That is one of the things that is a source of frustration for a lot of JCT drivers. We're so used to doing things a certain way, and then now we have different logs people telling us different things from what we've always been doing before, and it's caused a lot of frustration. I'm not trying to bag on Hirschbach or their people, whatever, but I wasn't too thrilled with that particular individual, and I'm not going to name his name. I don't think that's right, but I will say he knows. He believes what he believes, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree, and I even told him that. But don't sit here and interrupt me. That's unprofessional. It's rude. All right. So my advice, if you're that individual, if you happen to see this, don't ever do that. That's like I said, it's extremely rude, and that's a good way to get on my bad side. And I don't really care if I have to deal with you. I'm not going to talk to your ass if you're going to talk to me that way. It's the way it is. All right, I don't care if you're the owner of the company. Don't freaking talk to me in a disrespectful way like that. Be a professional. Talk to me like a professional. Deal with me like a professional, and I will do in kind. Okay? All right, we're done here. I'm gonna go ahead and get my shower and all that kind of stuff, and all right, we'll probably have, I don't know, maybe something new for you guys tomorrow, because I'm down to 2 hours and 7 minutes left on my 70-hour clock. I only get 5:13 back tomorrow, so I don't even get a full clock to work. I have decent recaps, actually. If you include what I have now and add in tomorrow, That's a 7-hour, 19-minute cycle to work with tomorrow. I mean, I can maybe get, if I'm lucky, about 400 miles out of that. But I'm probably going to burn some yard move time, because I actually do burn yard move time legitimately when when it's the right time for me to do it. After that, 8 hours and 22, 9:40, 8:37, 9:07, 8:08, and 11:52. And then today I ran 6:58. So I got really nice looking recaps for keeping the truck running daily. I can work with that. I can get good miles out of that. Could I possibly get a little bit more running longer shifts with 34? Possibly. But I'm not going to park my truck at late at night when there's nowhere to park. If I can shut down earlier and still do the same number of 10-hour breaks and not put myself in a position where I have to use makeshift parking, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure I get parked early enough, and that's kind of what started this here. I usually tend to like driving in the middle of the night. Run out my, get as close as I can to customers so I have as much of the clock available to work with on the same shift that I deliver, so I can pick up a different load and get it moving down the road further. You stay out in front like that, and it's easy to get good miles and do it not having to run just-in-time type of loads where, like, shit, I'm not running behind the 8-ball every single load. All right, so I'm done here. I'm done rambling, so I hope you guys got some good info here. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe if there's someone relevant who can make use of this in a positive, I don't know, a constructive way, go for it. Send it. All right. I'll see you guys.